Hello, everyone, and welcome to Answer the Call. This is actually something that I've wanted to do for a while now, and it was talk about Star Citizen Squadrons. I said the other space universe squadrons a few times already today by accident, so I'm trying to be very smart about it. But it's a card game. You could see some pictures probably rotating in the back. I hope they're rotating in the back. If they're not, I'll work on that. But it's a card game made by the Star Citizen community, but there's some interesting twists and stuff around it as well. So we're going to have FreshAsIce, who is part of the project, to kind of talk to you guys about it. And that's very different than anything that we've done on the podcast today, but it's also very or up to date, I should say. But it's also very much the same, where people are doing cool things in the community, and we want to talk to them and share with my community what's going on and what they're working on. But there's only so much you could talk about a tabletop card game. So we assumed, Fresh and I, that it would be about 30 minutes. And to take the podcast to our normal podcast length, we'll also talk about some current events. Some things happened this week, namely PES, as well as the community kind of losing their mind about the A2. So, 317... we could talk just about anything. I'll go into a little monologue after we talk about Squadrons, and we'll see if there's any callers or anyone to talk to about those things. But we'll start out with Star Wars Squadrons and FreshAsIce. So, Fresh, welcome to the podcast. How you doing?
Thank you. You said Star Wars again, just making sure.
Damn it. Star Citizen Squadrons. I'm trying. They know it's coming. They're already laughing at me in chat.
Oh, good. Yeah, I'm doing good. I hope you're doing fine too.
Yep. So this is the first time that we've talked in a while about this. I just have so much going on in life, I forget things. So I always tell Fresh to remind me, and I even forgot about this week. So he had to message me and was like, "Am I still coming on the podcast?" And I'm like, "Oh yeah, yes, we are." But yeah, before we get into the game, I know you quite a bit, or at least know of you. So what is your what do you do in Star Citizen? Where'd you come from? And, we didn't directly compete against each other in the Fight or Flight tournament, but we were both in it together. So that was a fun experience. I guess you guys had a bit of a rough time, but yeah.
You're sugarcoating it, but yes.
Yeah, it was rough. But the main thing that you do is PvP, or do you participate in anything else? I'm going to try to get these things.
No, I definitely mainly only do PvP. I started off doing mainly, I don't know, just playing with friends back in the day. That was like, patch 2.4 and earlier.
Gotcha.
And I basically got into PvP by just watching streamers do PvP. I think back in the day, obviously, it was... I don't know many people that did that much PvP on stream. Obviously, there was Law and some others.
Yeah.
And that's also how I got more into it, by joining his org or his stream and then doing stuff with him. So I'm guessing most people just know me from Dark Law and stuff like that.
Yeah, probably. I'm turning you up a little bit. The world of PvP in Star Citizen is growing, and growing fast, it seems like.
It is. And this is also where, when I started, I'm still going into the card game area a little bit now, because when I talked to Thomas back in the day and I tried the game, it's basically PvP. There's no PvE element. It's always a player versus another player. So that was my domain, or a lot of people's fun domain, because a lot of people of us were like, we don't really want more PvE, more grinding missions. We just want to have fun, compete against each other, and, have some good time. And this is where, for me, it started to get into that card game as well.
Okay, well, yeah, let's jump into that. What is Star Citizen Squadrons? But maybe where did it start? You just touched on it a little bit, but who's Thomas? And yeah.
All right, so Thomas is the original creator of the card game. He owns the project. He's the guy that drives it forward. And back in the day, he was a big Star Wars fan, and he actually, there's, I think, card games and board games about Star Wars, and he was like, wouldn't it be fun if there would be a Star Citizen one as well? So 2000 and let me think, 18, 17, 18 is where he started designing one and showed one on Con 42. That's the Citizen Con in Frankfurt, or not the Citizen Con, the one that the community does.
Yeah.
And he met Aaron Roberts there
Okay.
and talked about the card game. And Aaron Roberts, or rather his wife especially, got really hyped about that game, and he already had some cards to show. And well, a year later, Aaron gave him actually a non-commercial user license, so he was
Wow. Okay.
allowed to produce the game, kind of like you see here, like a prototype.
Yeah.
We were allowed to do like 10 decks. We aren't allowed to sell it, but we can like tune it. We can give it to CIG. We can test it and everything, as long as we don't make money and not overdo it with the amount of decks and cards we have currently.
Yep. So you're allowed to use their logo. You're allowed to use their ships. Like I'm looking behind me, I see Hornets and
Yes.
and things like that, but not allowed to sell it necessarily. So this isn't the same thing
Yeah.
as the JDRF people. Are you trying to go in that direction if possible, but
Yeah,
just
we
not
are.
quite there with
So
them yet?
yeah, we send in a prototype, and we gave one to Aaron as well. And the first reaction, they liked it, but it was too complicated for them in the rule book because they had no one to actually teach them how to play. They had to go fully by the rule book, and that's
Yeah.
always in every card game a little hard. So we reworked it for over like 8 months, and then had a second version sent to them. What we didn't know at that point is that the whole merge department of SIG just changed, and they're not doing what they did before. So now we have to go through a publisher, and then they have to contact CIG and do all
And
the rest of the business, basically.
and what does that entail? That doesn't sound fun.
No, because having a publisher, obviously, or finding one for Star Citizen is a deal in itself. Obviously, Star Citizen is still rather small, but it's growing, and that's what we have to show them. That's why the support is so big. We can show publishers how many people are interested, how many upvotes we get, how many people want to play it on Bar Citizens, and that's how we're trying to grow into the publishing. And we are talking to publisher, and it's not like small ones. It's actually big ones. I can't go into names.
Yeah.
But for example, for the printing of the cards, we already have, I don't want to call it a contract, but we have stuff going with Katamundi, which you might know from the bicycle cards, from the Magic the Gathering cards. This is the company that prints all those cards.
Okay. That's not anything to sneeze at. So that means something. But then a publisher is similar to like a game publisher where they deal with
Yeah.
all the boxes and all that kind of stuff and the distribution
they
of it.
do distribution, payment. They also obviously do the whole how much money will CIG get, how much will the publisher get. And they'll probably also tell us what decks they want, how many decks they want, and all that. So
Okay.
it looks better than ever, but again, we can't give something concrete just yet. But it looks promising.
That's wild. All right. Well, you told me a little bit about it beforehand. I thought this was more of like an RPG, where because I think there was somebody else in the community that made an RPG type game that was similar to this, and I don't think that they certainly didn't have any of the like licensing stuff from CIG if I remember correctly. But I think it was like an RPG, but you told me that this is more of like a Magic the Gathering type of game. So kind of
it's
give me a little rundown on it, I guess.
So before I answer that, I just saw in chat someone
Mhm.
asking if there's a PSA 10 cards. PSA is standard grading, if I remember correctly, like one of them. We work with gold standard grading. So we already have graded cards, and you
Oh,
can
wow.
actually win them on like giveaways and stuff. I think the highest one we got so far is a 9.5, I think. So we already have them. If they're worth anything, we don't really know yet. If they will be something worth, who knows? But yeah, there's that. All right. So now to the game. You might be able to show the field itself, like how the battlefield would look like in the main folder of the material.
I think I
There is
grabbed
a
every
promo.
image.
There is a promo battlefield image. It's called promo battlefield.
All right, let me try and grab it.
But I can just keep talking for now.
Yeah, go ahead while I grab it, please.
The main battlefield is basically 5 location cards in the center, where you fight over these locations, and each of these locations have different features. They can give you shield boosts, they can have dangers like Asteroid's Field or whatever. So it's not just straightforward grabbing and that's it. It's holding on to it basically against the other player attacking it, and you have to gather points. Each of these locations, which is 5 locations in each match, give like up to 2, 3, or 4 location points. And at the beginning of your round, you have to have 7 points, and then you basically win the round if you own 7 points. So the other player obviously has to try to take them away from you every time you grab them.
There's like a Moby Glass? Is that the one?
No, it looks similar. You can take that one as well if you want. There was one that looks similar though. It's called Promo Battlefield.
What folder is it in? Because I actually didn't see all these folders until now. In main folder, okay.
Yeah, it's like 3/4 sound. Yeah, and then...
I see it. Okay.
Yeah. And for the location cards, because I was talking about it, we have currently a set of 16, which is the Stanton system. And we can, once there's Pyro, we can have 16 more, you know. So the battlefield will never change. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. I'm going to bring it onto the main screen in a moment here.
Mm-hmm.
But go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, good. So in the center, there's these 5 location cards. Once you bring them on.
Yeah, it's going to take me 1 second.
Good. Everyone has a deck, like on Magic or Yu-Gi-Oh!, which consists out of like 40, 45 cards. It kind of depends on what you're playing and who you're playing. And currently we have like Venduel, the Pirates, and the UE. And you create your starting hand by looking at your cards. There's a point system, and you can either start with like a really strong card on your hand or multiple not so strong cards on your hand. But that's kind of the way how you can start every game different, and depending on how the location cards are chosen. There you go. Now you got it on stream.
It was, and now it's not. I'm trying to get it back up. It's being stupid. There we go. So this is the playing field.
Yeah, so you have the 5 location cards in the middle, and they are randomized. So there's like 15 or 16 of them, and each game will have different ones. And depending on what cards are in the middle, you kind of want to choose your starting hand. And this is done by like a point system of your cards. So that way, every game hopefully starts different. We've figured out some better starting combinations and some weaker ones, and then we try to balance it out so the other ones get worth it again. But this is basically how you start and set up the deck. Mm-hmm. And then you just add cards. I don't have to go into a specific number. And you play those ship cards to claim the locations. And this is also where kind of the mind game starts, because you usually play these cards face down. So you can place up to 3 cards or 3 ship cards in one turn, and you can place them on whatever location cards you like, and they can be placed face down, which that also means is it could be trap cards instead of ship cards. So you could land on a minefield placed by the UE, or, you know, that kind of stuff. So this is where the kind of mind game begins. And with the rock, paper, scissors system, we have scouts that can flip those cards over without triggering the effect of the trap. And yeah.
And I might have missed it while I was setting everything up. Is the intention to move from the locations that are closer to you to the middle to their locations and then to the player to eventually take them out, or?
No, so the winning condition is 7 points of these location cards. So on the top left of each location card,
each has a point.
Points.
Yeah.
Yes.
So like the middle one and the one to the top right, if I held those two, I'd have 7 points and I win.
The middle one and the top left would be 5.
Top right, excuse me.
Oh, top right. Yes. Exactly. So if you just take what is on the field right now, the UE play on the bottom owns the one on the bottom right, it owns the one on the top left, and the Vandal player owns the one on the bottom left and the top right, which the top right you don't see because it's placed face down and no one had actually checked it yet.
And
So
why is the
currently-
one on the other side placed face up? Because they're my cards, so I technically would know what they were. Is that what
No,
the?
because once you fight or you started a fight, it's probably has been fought over that location and then they're
So
flipped
they're
up.
known. Okay.
So kind of whoever played like Yu-Gi-Oh or other games, you can kind of place cards face down, so
Mhm.
not everyone knows what's going on. And then you have to decide, so you place 3 cards. Let's just take one field. You place all of them on one field, all of them are face down. Then the other guy has to think about, do I want to get that location back or do I want to go on other locations and then see what happens in the next round?
Cool.
And each kind of round, the opponent has one chance to basically deny you the win. So if I place cards on a location which has in total 7 points, then the other guy has basically his turn to push me off as many locations that I don't have 7 when my turn starts. And that's the whole thing about the game. And it's consisting about ships. There's tactical cards, there's upgrade cards, there is
What's the Chris
additional
Roberts
support
card?
cards.
That's sticking up there.
Oh, that's like the most broken card we've invented, and we had to ban it right away before it got even basically produced. We've got like 5 of them. I think 3 of them graded, but they'll never see the action. So it's just pick a card out of your deck, any card, and take it on your hand. I think that's what the card text says. And it instantly got banned by us, but because it was just too strong. Because we don't have like a mana system or a tribute system
Okay.
to start placing. So if you get a bomber, like a Vandal Void Bomber on your hand, you can place it right away in the first turn if you want to. So there's no system taking it back.
Is there a limit to how many cards you could place at any given time?
Yes, each turn you can place 3 cards, or
Okay.
rather 3 ship cards, and that can also be trap cards, obviously. And the Vandal will have like a special ability because we try to make each deck a little bit special. So the Vandal are swarm or have swarm ships, kind of like we hope it's going to be in Star Citizen, where instead of playing 1 blade as 1 card, you can actually play 2 blades as 1 card. So technically, you could play 6 cards in 1 turn as a Vandal, but you'll run out of cards rather quick.
Okay.
And
That's actually cool. And then is there a standard, like how many cards are in a standard deck?
So we're
Because you
trying
said
to
running
aim
out of cards would be an issue, it sounded like.
Yeah, we're trying to aim for 40 to 45 cards per deck. And later on, you'll be able to modify this deck. So we're going to have each squadron, which is like the UEE, the Vandal, and stuff like that, will have its own deck pool. And out of that deck pool, you can build your own deck. And that then has a limit of either 40 cards, 45, or, a max and a min amount.
Okay. That's pretty cool. And then I'm actually curious, why go the route of not having like a mana cost or something like that? I feel that's definitely an interesting and maybe as for someone who's I've played Magic, I played Magic growing up and I played Hearthstone a little bit. For the games that I've played, that was always like a standard. Is that not a standard in all games like this, or?
Well, we didn't
Seems
want
out
to
of the
go
box,
with the
basically,
standard,
to me.
right?
Yeah.
And so the most important thing we wanted is we wanted to feel like Star Citizen. And if you want to spawn a hammerhead right away, you should be able to. You know what I mean?
Classic Star Citizen. Yeah, if they wanted to buy it, they could, right?
Exactly. If they want to bomb with an A2, they should. This is
okay.
I know where this is going.
Yeah, I'm just memeing.
So, again, you can play whatever card you want in the beginning, but you always have to think about once you place the card there, it's locked on that location. Unless you have a special card, each deck has a card that can actually switch the location. So this
So
is
you
where
can't move. There's no QT
Yeah.
in this game, technically.
Exactly.
You get your one QT jump, and that's it.
Except you have like a special card that allows you to do it, but they are kind of rare, and we limit them to the deck, like maybe one per deck or whatever,
Okay.
to have still the option, but to not make it too easy. So you have to think about, do I want to play that bomber on that field, or do I want to keep it? Plus, a bomber, this is where we would go into the how the combat works, is rather slow, and if you place it unprotected, it can get killed rather easily by like vanguards or gladiators or retaliators. You know what I mean?
Okay. Well, how? Let's go into how that works. This is? I guess we're getting into the rock paper scissors mechanic a little bit. What sort of characteristics would a bomber card have versus a vanguard, and would it be easy for the player to tell?
I mean, it's basically how you would think it would be in Star Citizen. We try
Sure.
to give that the same feel. If you want, you can put up just a random card on the screen, and we'll talk about kind of the stats on it.
All right, let me get that. I had to basically take everything apart of what I just put together, so give me a moment again.
Yeah, sorry.
This will take no worries. This will take a lot less time to put together this time. So, all right. So we're gonna take a random card.
Let's hope it's a ship card and not like a support card.
Okay, no problem. It should be fairly easy to find. I mean, what about
if you go into Squadron
what about here?
cards,
There's a number of cards here. Maybe this would be a good example. Let's see.
Yeah, there you go. That's good.
So now we'll go here, and it should be on display. Okay.
All right, let me see what you choose. Yeah, there we go. So let's just take the Hornet on the bottom right first.
Okay.
So this is basically your standard UEE Hornet that we have, and the first thing that might be interested in a combat. So let's say we are actually in combat and we have two ships fighting each other. Would be who starts shooting first.
Okay.
And this is the big blue number on the bottom left, which is 6 here.
Okay.
And if you compare it to the Captain Buzzer, it's the Gladiator on the bottom left. It has 6+. So this is a little deceiving because the higher number starts, but this is because Captain Buzzer is a hero card, and especially like, you know, it's only once in the deck, so it has to be better. But in general, a normal Gladiator would have like a 4 or a 5. So it would always start after a Hornet. And you start from the highest number, which is now, in this case, would be the Gladiator, the 6+, so it would start first attacking. And then the next number would be the 6 on the Hornet, and if there was Blades and Vandal cards, they have all an initiative number.
Okay.
And for people who do like pen and paper, initiative, everyone should know, you know, when you roll, the highest dice basically starts, and then it goes down. And yeah, then we have the damage values. Might be interesting. It's the red numbers, the most obvious ones, I would say. The Hornet has a 5. The Gladiator has 5 and 2 and a 4. So 5 is the main armament, 2 is the turret, and 4 is the torp.
Oh shit! Okay, cool.
And so we already have like a turret system, a torp system. The torps, because they're white, can't be used against every ship.
Okay.
Which I don't want to go into detail, but you can't just torp a Hornet with a size 5 or size 9 torp, because that would just break the balance of this game. So the extra white damage is for bigger ships, basically.
Okay. It's kind of how it probably should be in SC as well, but hey.
Probably, yeah. And then once someone starts attacking, so let's just take the Captain Buzzer would attack the Hornet. It would try to attack with either the 5 or the 2 damage, which is the main or the turret damage. And then the Hornet has to defend against it. And the Hornet itself doesn't have like a dodge or anything, so it technically just eats the damage. A dodge would be the green number on the bottom center is like a little 1 on the Captain Buzzer card.
And there's none on the Hornet.
Exactly. This means it can dodge once, like 1 attack per engagement.
Okay.
And how that works would be you roll a dice, a 1d120, and you have to achieve. I'm going to take the Captain Buzzer card again. The little green 14 or lower. So the dodge chance is actually pretty high. If you a 10 would be a 50-50 chance, obviously, and then a 14 is quite high to dodge one of the damages. But since the Hornet doesn't have it, it would just eat the 5 damage, and that works on the HP and shield points, which is on the left side of the card. It has like 1 blue shield. This is the blue number, the 1.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Then 2 armor and 2 hull damage or hull HP. So it has 5
Okay.
in total. The shield always recharges after kind of a fight, so it doesn't matter if that goes down.
Yep.
If you chew through the armor of a card, it gets like a permanent debuff because you broke the armor. And then there will be cards to repair and all that kind of stuff.
What's the little? Yeah. I'm sure you'll get to it, but what's on the armor for the gladiator? That little yellow.
Yeah. If the Hornet would attack and the gladiator wouldn't dodge the attack, it would take 5 damage. Obviously killing the gladiator, but let's just assume it wouldn't kill it. It would just only take out the shield and the armor. It would actually lose its turret permanently.
Ah, okay. Nice.
So and this is where a lot of bombers can take damage. Like I said, bombers usually have less initiative, so they attack later, and they're not always as tanky. Obviously, Retaliator can tank quite a bit, but the more it tanks, the more there's a chance it loses armament or armor and stuff like that.
Okay. Do you want to look at a couple other cards? I grabbed another image.
Sure.
Let's see.
Yeah, just grab another one. Maybe some Vandal cards.
I think there's a Vandal one here. No, but I'll grab a Vandal one next. How about that? Why aren't you showing? Hold. Let me try this. Maybe this.
But just to carry on a little bit of talking.
There we go.
There's obviously cards that deny you from dodging or that can give you a dodge chance. So here we go. These are the pirates. So these are the most recent squadron we did. And they work a little different. So they have EMP, which is distortion, obviously. And that's on the Raven card. You can see the blue 10.
Okay.
And this one works like we hopefully one day distortion works in the game. And that means you can only use EMP or distortion damage once the shield is down.
Okay, cool.
So you would have to kill a shield first to then apply distortion. And if you apply as much distortion damage to a ship that it has armor and hull point, it will basically be distorted or it can't do anything at that point.
Gotcha.
And then,
the
Ares...
Oh, yeah, go ahead. I'll be adding Vandal in a moment.
So the Ares, for example, has like this dual-colored one, which means it can either fire 12 damage at like a fighter, or it does it to a bigger target.
It's being stupid. I'm bringing it back.
All good.
There we go.
It's all good.
We're back.
We're back. Yeah, so here you can also see on the buck on the bottom left has an initiative of 7, which means it attacks really, really early.
Mm-hmm.
And an Ares, for example, has only an initiative of 5.
Yeah.
So the buck will always attack first. Obviously, there's cards that can make you like attack faster, slower, nerf some ships and that kind of stuff. So
sure,
it's all tactical gameplay. And then there's one more thing that we haven't talked about is you can actually assign Wingman to other ships.
Okay.
Which on this card there's none because it's just part of the cards, but there's usually the ships that can have like a little silver shield symbol on the bottom, but that basically means you can cover a bigger ship. What that means is if the attacking ship attacks the slower ship that is being protected by a wingman, the wingman can just attack for free. It just slaps as a reaction, and then it has his attack in addition.
Nice.
So you always kind of want to get rid of the wingman first, or you need to calculate in that you're going to get free damage from the wingman.
Okay, that's neat. And then is the backside, the thing at the top is just the backside of the card, correct?
Yes. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, exactly.
Cool.
Yeah.
Do you want to check out the Vandal now?
Sure. Yeah. Put
All right.
one up.
Here we go.
Oh, here we go. All right. So there's no swarm ship on this one, but that's fine. So on the bottom right, you can see one of the big bombers, the void bombers we have.
Mm-hmm.
It has a lot of HP that you can chew through and shield that you have to chew through, but it also does quite a bit of damage. So it would do 20 torpedo damage to a bigger ship, which when it would fire at itself, it would probably not destroy it. I don't think so. Not quite, but close. And then we tried to design the other ships accordingly. Like a good example on how we want to make it feel balanced or how it feels in the real game is the glaive on the top right, for example. We had where glaives had like 4 damage, sometimes like it depends if it's an elite or whatever, but they had less damage than before.
Mm-hmm.
And when a Vanguard fought a glaive, the Vanguard would always come out on top. And
Okay.
without taking any damage, and we felt like super non-realistic. It was really frustrating. It didn't feel like the glaive in game. Obviously we can't go off by how it feels right now, but
True.
it was always a little underwhelming. And now we buffed it a little bit, that when a Vanguard fights a glaive, the glaive will attack before the Vanguard. It will damage it to a point where it loses its turrets, but the Vanguard technically still wins because it does more damage and kills the glaive, but it won't do nothing. So this is the part where we want the game to feel like you're actually playing Star Citizen. Like you would place a glaive and be like, that's going to have a big oomph against the Vanguard or whatever. And this is how I think we achieved it with the UEE and the Vandal.
Cool. And then you want to talk about some of the other cards on the screen, like Salvo and They Are Everywhere and Raid. And
right. So the one on the left, the They Are Everywhere, is a trap card. So you would place this instead of a ship card face down, and if the other player basically turns it over by placing his ship on the field, you would trigger the card, and this one you would search your deck as a Vandal player, and you can grab like 2 or 3 swarm cards and then summon them to your hand. So you would basically get additional cards for free for triggering in it. Obviously, there's also some that make the enemy lose cards or take damage on their cards that they place. So there's all variety of trap cards. And then there's the raid card, which is on the bottom of it. This one is just straightforward, a card you play in the beginning of the combat turn, and it would just straight up increase all ships, or all of your ships' initiative by +2.
Okay.
So
you would hopefully be attacking first then.
Yeah, you want to make sure you attack first, or if you want to make sure, then you play this card, and hopefully you can attack with all your cards before the other one can do anything. Yeah. And then there's the Salvo card, which you can't see what it does, but it's basically you just flat out 3 damage to a ship you choose.
Okay.
But that one can also be dodged if a ship has the ability to dodge.
And okay, so just so I'm clear, there's a max of 3 that you can have at any given time on the battlefield in a location. Do these additional cards apply to that? It's 3 ships, correct? Or trap
so
cards?
you would place 3 ships. This would include trap cards because you don't know if it's a trap or a ship, but you would place 3 cards. Again, swarm cards of Vandal work a little different. You could technically place more.
Okay.
Because they count like 2 as 1 ship.
Mm-hmm.
But technically you place 3 ship cards in 1 turn, and then it's the other guy's turn. And when he confronts you and puts his cards on the same location as your cards, then you would start fighting.
Yeah.
And this is then when you decide what ships are going to be my wingman. Will I play additional cards like tactic cards, upgrades, and whatever?
Yeah.
Once that is done, the fight will start, and in the fight, then you can play like parts like the 3 damage on some ships, or the extra dodge card or whatever. So in each stage you can always place some sort of card to help you and, you know, try to win the fight, play mind games with the enemy. Like you could be like, oh, I'm just gonna play nothing, and then he's like, oh, I'm gonna play 2 more initiative for me, and then you're struggling to defend against it.
Yeah, like I think this last one that I just put up now is probably the best example where you would have had your Corsair, your Pirate Buccaneer, and your Pirate Vandal hero down, but then you have the option at a certain point to place the boarding and the EMP burst card.
Yeah.
Is that correct? Okay.
Yeah. So the pirates work around boarding and EMP and that kind of stuff, right? And
Yeah.
you kind of want, let's say you use your what do we have? Like the boom slang, the buck, the 4 damage to kill a shield of a big ship, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then once the shield is down, you would go EMP burst, which does like 10 EMP damage, I think, if I remember. And then one of the other cards would basically already be like distorted, so it wouldn't be able to attack. And then you could use the boarding card right away to destroy the card that is distorted, draw 2 cards yourself, and basically remove that other card from the field right away. So you would have
Nice.
one kind of action, but you instantly destroy the ship, drawn 2 cards, you know, that kind of combo.
Yep.
And then you can go from there.
Very cool. Very cool. Nice. Yeah, I guess the where we should maybe go from here go
Before I forget.
Yeah.
So there is a chance, obviously, that there was a fight and none of the ships are fully destroyed. So there's like from both sides there's still ships on the location, and now you need to decide, well, who gets the location, right? And this is where this little number on the top left comes in. So the Big Daddy card has a 3 up there. And the total number of summed up points on the top left determines if you stay on the field or not. So the highest number stays. So if I only have a Big Daddy on the field, or only, I have 3 points. And if there's like a Big Daddy and something else on the enemy field, he has more points, so he keeps the field, and I have to retreat my cards.
Okay.
And this is the little zone below the location cards that you can see on this big picture where you see the field.
I'll bring it back up.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's called the fleet zone. And you can see there's already 2 cards in the fleet zone on the Vandal and 1 card on the Gladius. So let's pretend the Gladius on the bottom already retreated in the turn earlier. So it survived the combat engagement, but it had to leave because it didn't have as amount of these points on the top left. I don't know the English name for it right now.
Okay.
But this one is not lost. You can now use it in the next round. By placing it in addition with your 3 cards. So technically, in the next round, you could place 4 ships on one location.
On the bottom right, let's say, yeah.
Or if you don't have that many cards, you can just place that as a reinforcement. But it's not lost. It's more like a tactical retreat that you have to do because they've got more forces on the location.
Cool.
And you could also battle it out. Sorry, and you could also battle it out in that fleet zone. So you could place it technically in the fleet zone instead of a location, and then the other guy can attack you there. It's kind of, I always see it like an OM marker, right? It's like a gathering ground, but you can get ambushed there.
What do you gain by attacking in that, just to get rid of those extra ships if you think you could take them out?
For example, yeah. And you yourself can place cards there. If you don't want to have a ship make a location stronger, or you don't want to place a single ship somewhere lonely on a field, you can always place it in your fleet zone to use it in the next round with your additional 3 cards.
Okay. That's neat.
Yeah.
This is actually really cool. I don't know where I think we go to next is how do people get, like, people seem interested in chat. How do they get involved? How can they get it? Where can they play it?
All right. So let's start with how can they play it. Currently, sadly, we are not allowed to really make the deck publicly available, obviously,
Okay.
because we're not allowed to sell it, and we are limited on the amount of decks we can use
Yeah.
or produce. So we are trying to go to every Citizen Con. We're trying to go to every Bar Citizen possible and bring like playable decks. So
Gotcha.
far, that's mostly in Germany right now. We
Yeah.
have had it on Beacon on the Belgium one. But the more people support, the more we can go, like maybe to England, to Manchester, to wherever, and just bring it to
Start
Bar
spreading out.
Citizens.
Yeah.
Yeah. And support is basically just upvoting our posts, Twitter posts, make people want to play it. So we have supporter cards, which currently we have 5 of them.
Okay.
Let me see if there's a
I
picture
saw
of
those in the doc. Let me grab
Yeah.
those. Where'd they go? I just saw one. Yeah, there's one. Let me grab that one and throw it up on the screen. Oh, it's a fancy one. There
Let's
it
see
is. It's
which
a
one this
Carrick. I'll
one
bring
is.
it. I chose the Carrick. Come on.
Oh, nice.
course.
Yeah, that's the third one. So we have 5 supporter cards, which the first and the second one are the Retaliator and the Glaive. And the idea behind supporter cards is it's something to give you for the future. Once the game is out and we are actually allowed to produce it, you can send your card to the publisher and get an even rarer playing card that you can play with back in addition to that one if you want to collect it. So currently, like the first and the second supporter cards, there's only 350 each of them, so they're pretty rare and hard to get. And then there's like the Carrick, which is the third one, which are like 500 now, and then there's the Hammerhead, which is a little. We always produce a little more, and then the latest one is the 890 Jump.
Ooh.
And currently, there's actually a citizen spotlight going from us, which when you upvote it and you send in a screenshot of that upvote to our homepage, you can actually get the Supporter Guide 5, the 890 Jump, for free.
Oh, nice.
And receive it while postal office or postal mail, whatever you want to call it.
Cool. Yeah, they're
So
really nice.
If people want to get into collecting, this is basically our thing of saying these are the first collectible items.
Yeah.
And we also always have these when we're going to Bar Citizens and we're giving out like rarer ones or sometimes not so rare. It all depends like how people do, if people are interested, and we do giveaways on our Discord where we still give out these early supporter cards.
Cool. Very neat. Yeah, I really hope this works out because this seems super cool. I'm not gonna lie. When you first messaged, I was like, I just don't know how interested I would be in something like this because I really did believe it was more like RPG type. But I love these kind of things, and you could totally see this being like CIG eventually turning this into a Hearthstone in-game game that you play in-game kind of thing and all that. So that's very, very cool, and I think it's a great idea. It seems like there's a lot of kind of cool support behind it and everything too. So,
all right. So here's what we can do. We can send you a full set of all 5 supporter cards for you, just as personal use. And then we'll probably throw in another full set plus a few of the other ones. And these ones you can raffle away whenever you want.
Well, I'm going to the Florida Bar Citizen in like 2 weeks. I don't know how fast they would get here, but if you want to do that and I can hand them out there, I would be happy to.
I can message Thomas later today. He should be able to. I mean, via mail, it should be like in 2 to 3 days, right?
Yeah, I would assume it would be fairly quick. Sure, let me know.
Yeah, we can try that. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that would be awesome, and I think people at the Bar Citizen would really like it, and we'll tell them where to go and stuff too. This is really neat.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right. If anyone need any links, just message me, or if you want to post them. Like again, we have like a Discord, we have a homepage,
We've been
there.
linking the website in the chat, but
everything is on there. Yeah.
Yep, and I'll come to you for the YouTube video, and I'll put them all in the description below. So if you guys are watching this on YouTube, you guys can check it out there and everything. But that'll be neat. But yeah, Ice, thank you for this. This is how long have you guys been working on this? This seems like it's been a lot of work and a lot of time and energy.
Itself has been working since 2017. That's where he had the first idea.
Yeah.
I personally met him 2 years ago at a Bar Citizen, or rather a Camp Citizen, where we had our first camping trip Bar Citizen kind of thing.
Oh, wow.
And I'm basically now more the guy that balances the decks, that tries to, with a little help of some others, spread the word, manage the Discord and all that kind of stuff. Like, I think ForgeMan is in the chat. If anyone has any questions, he's answering some of them already. He's helping us. He's part of the family. Yeah.
Dude, this is really, really awesome. So, again, best of luck. I know CIG is pretty tough when it comes to their IP and everything. So, if anybody's got a chance, it's you guys. From what I can see here, this thing looks really, really cool.
Yeah, we're hoping, and we're giving CIG lots of swag. Like we gave Jared a full set,
nice,
the brochure, a handbook, and everything at Gamescom. And so far, we have it that at least a lot of CIG employees know about it. I've seen some people in chat before the ATC started that they've heard about it, but they've never seen about it. Yeah, and this is what we need. And the last Bar Citizen at Gamescom showed us that the interest is really there. Like, we had like a table for like 5 people, and it was constantly full of people just wanting to play. And then they finished the first playthrough, and they were like, we want to play another one, but we had to let other people try out. So, yeah.
That's actually awesome. Yeah, I'm really happy for you. This is cool. And like I was talking about this, I think, on the last podcast. It was, the game is the game. But there's so many other things that can keep you involved with it, and I'm glad you found something really, really neat like this. So I'm happy for you, man. This is sick. Yeah. But all right, I guess Ice, this is where we say goodbye for a little bit, and I appreciate you coming on. Super, super cool, and we're gonna go, I guess, into this next segment of the podcast. So Ice, once again, thank you for coming on. I really appreciate it. Have a great one.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
We'll catch you soon, and keep me posted on all this stuff. And we'll talk later about the Bar Citizen thing.
Yeah, all right. Thank you.
All right, man. Bye-bye now.
See ya.
All right, so that was fresh. Now, very different podcast than what we've normally done. And, yeah, I thought that was going to be pretty, like, #ad-like, and it really wasn't. It was very cool. He explained the game and showed what it's all about and everything like that, and it was awesome. Again, I loved Magic growing up. I loved those kind of games. Hearthstone, I don't think anybody loves Hearthstone, but they, it was a game that was simple to get into, and I definitely played it and enjoyed it at times. But Magic, I was thinking about trying to get back into more recently, actually, with the mobile game version of it. But the next thing that we want to talk about is current events. I think a lot of like crazy stuff happened this week. I've been crying. Like I think I have been more annoying to people who follow my content about this specific subject than anything. And I could tell from the YouTube comments that I think it was starting to get annoying, and they didn't really want to hear about it anymore. And it was about them talking about 318, them communicating. A couple days ago, Xylo came into chat and just said hello. He was just here to say hi. And I went in on him. I don't know if it was fair or not, but I just wasn't happy with the level of communication around a patch that I found to be really important, which was 3.18. And he took it, on the head and like, I guess handled it really well. But the thing for me was I thought it was just really important to keep the community posted on things like this. I don't expect huge productions. I actually didn't want huge productions, and that's what we got this week. And so this is kind of my call to you guys to come on and answer the call if anybody wants to join the queue. I got time for I'm not sure how long. Let's see. I have my wife going, how much longer do you have? So today we're getting together with family. I thought it was going to be a little bit earlier, a little bit later, so I'm a little confused why I'm getting a message from her now. But you know how that goes, the married folk out there. But yeah, I kind of want to hear what you guys think about the conversation around PES, the conversation around the nerf for the A2, things like that, certain content creators were calling for and started a whole escapade and everything. But we got Reezer here on the line. Reezer, are you there? Can you hear me?
I am here. Hello. Test 1 2 1 2.
I hear you just fine. Let me get Clay next in line, and I guess we'll close it off there. But what do you have on the current events, I guess?
I think current events are seeing Morph having his meltdown, right? Are we going straight for a kill shot?
I guess we can go straight for a kill shot. Again, I don't want it to be too brutal on Morph. I think he's gotten plenty throughout the week.
I won't be. I said it before. I think the A2 is like fundamentally like everything in every regard. It's a genuinely dogshit design. As in, it has an extremely powerful gimmick locked behind like a $700 ship, and the fact that bomb is launchable by the pilot. So essentially, it's a solo ship, which it should never be. Same for the Retaliator, right? I also am of the opinion that something like the Retaliator should not have the torpedoes controlled by the pilot at all, ever, in any situation.
Yeah, can we stop there for a second? Just because I think that this is like the big problem with this whole like specific A2 thing, is this isn't a unique problem to the A2, and I think you point that out. Like a lot of the issues that people have with this specific ship could be, and Morph as well, could be done by literally every other ship, right? The dumbfiring missiles flying at 800 meters per second, slamming at everything on the ground is a very similar scenario. The ability for multi-crew ships to be soloed so easy, is that the intention for the game? I don't know. I don't really know what the hell's going on with that. I think we're so far away, and it's gotten to the point where we focused on one specific ship when there was problems everywhere, actually. And I just found the whole scenario to be kind of weird.
Yeah, I think the reason why the A2 is kind of the one that really popped off is that it's really just extremely simple and like brain dead easy for a single person to shit on people who genuinely spent like a not insignificant amount of time preparing for Jumpdown, right? Because in Star Citizen, especially if you are trying to get a group of more than 3 or 4 people together, it takes hours to just prep. And if you are trying to do something interesting, like have ground vehicles there, or have like a specific like respawn ship there, this is gonna take at least an hour to prepare. And then you invest all that time, you go there, you haven't even started enjoying the game. We are not even talking about like making money or just progressing in a video game.
Just
we are just playing the game, and you don't even get to do that because some random guy with a $700 microtransaction comes up and just presses left click, right? That's unbelievably disappointing.
And that's the thing that kind of I think was immediately, I was like, really? Are we? Because like I just think this was a morphologist problem, because I don't think that they expected morphologists to act this way, and he got upset, right? And like, did he act appropriately? Did he call people certain things that he maybe shouldn't have? Did he say things that might have been a little bit cringe? I think. Yeah, probably. Or definitely taken out of context. Like, I'm not making content for this game anymore. I heard people saying that he said, I didn't necessarily hear it that way. And when I talked to him, he certainly didn't intend it that way. But that's how it came off to some people. It is. Do you realize that he probably took 2 hours out of his day to get to that point, to where he was right there, and then didn't get to enjoy the event? Now, there's a number of reasons how, like, people gave it, oh, you could have handled it this way, you could have handled it that way. I don't care if you type that in the comments. You're an idiot. I don't want to hear about that anymore. Like, that has gone on. There's been Spectrum threads. There's been Reddit threads. I'm sure you've shared your opinion somewhere else at some point. I don't want to hear it necessarily about how to fix it. It's and I'm not talking to you, Reezer, obviously. It's the YouTube commenters who will absolutely post what they think he should have done differently in the comments of this video, which makes no sense. The idea of for me, the big key thing here is this is not just an A2 problem. This is an entire video game problem. And I don't think people are realizing just how annoying it is to play this game. And then one silly thing can happen and all of your 2 hours of setup just completely gets wasted.
Yeah, so a couple days ago, we were playing Damex and I. We were trying to play Jumptown, and yes, so the prep time in this game to do something is unreal.
Yes.
And then there is a 20-minute, or in case of the Korok, for example, it's like a 15-minute reclaim time that you cannot avoid. And previously you could do that. You press start reclaim at one location, and then you get to another one, and then you can still spawn it at that other location. But right now, wherever you reclaim the ship, it's only gonna be spawnable there, or you have to reclaim it at the other location as well. So there is no time saving. There are I crashed to desktop, for example, but I was 500 meters. Yeah, it's like good luck. RIP 890 Centurion in the back. Spent 50 million kilometers getting there, just almost arriving. At least an hour of setup just snapped into oblivion, right? It's such a soul-crushing experience.
And we're not even talking about 30Ks. Right? Those happen. That it is what it is. We're actually talking about the game instead, which is, I think, way healthier.
And I think for Morph, first of all, the issue with Morph's communication is kind of like putting someone on the pedestal, right? Morph was like this untouchable, perfect face of the community.
He's one of the most
right?
If not the most respected content
no one
creator.
Would give a shit.
No, because I make them all the time. That's
true.
Only
human.
Holy crap! Somebody, I literally just called somebody idiots 2 seconds ago, and people were losing their mind over him calling somebody a fucker. Like that's even offensive. I don't know, the guy who did that. Oh, he's a fucker, and they took offense to that, and it's just what? But yeah, I would say let's try to be as quick as possible, because I am just going to get to the next caller and then call it a day. Anything around PES and the communication around that, Reezer? And
I said we were ready. I actually kind of was on the same page with you about the letter for the chairman, where all right, this time it's probably gonna be different.
Yeah,
but it just, I felt like it wasn't, and that's what I am really getting a bit exhausted with, is that I'm
not even mad anymore.
Seem to change. Yeah, it's just
I'm not even mad anymore. I just don't care.
It's so easy to make my predictions, and then they always come true. If you go against what CIG says, or if you add an additional delay of a month or 2 months to whatever they do, it's always gonna become true, right? It's so easy, and then you all you have is just to laugh at the entire situation. I don't know, it's insane that they are not showing us anything. The fact that they cannot show it because it's in the background is just, I don't know how that is.
How can
believable.
Something that is so obviously player facing be in the background? It cannot be. I feel like this is the thing, and this was my big criticism of this, was the update that they had to make had to be some ridiculous production with Jared talking like a game show host for some reason. It was very weird. It felt very off. And then
super off.
Yeah, but then
the tone in which he was asking the questions.
Was
it's
just
super high energy, and it was like it's like pre-recorded, and then the guy on the other side was answering the pre-recorded footage, right? Like
Yeah.
it wasn't, it felt like it was offline or just not recorded at the same time. I don't know. The video was bizarre.
Yeah. And the Benoit just, I mean, seemed very normal. All his responses, I have no issues with. I don't think any player should have any issues with them. Things take time. It literally touches everything. It is what it is. And in case you guys don't know, because I see it in chat, the video we're talking about was ISE this week about persistent energy streaming. So yeah, it was just a weird one. But Razor, because I am short on time, I'll let you go. Is there any final thing that you'd want to say?
No, that's pretty much it. I think Morph did nothing wrong. It's disappointing that PS the communication was so off yet again. But yeah, just the drama is strange. I think Morph was only human at that point, and there is literally nothing wrong with his comments. And the A2 is indeed a dog shit design, as it is right now.
I love you, Reezer. All right, man. We'll talk to you soon.
Have a good one.
Bye bye. Our next caller is Clay. Clay, are you there?
Yes. Sorry. Just caught up with your stream.
No problem.
Yeah, so I was just listening in.
Well, yeah. Well, what are your thoughts on any of the more recent current events?
Yeah, so I work night shift, so I actually had an opportunity to see some videos pop up pretty
Okay.
quick. I just started up YouTube and started seeing some people posting things already about Morph, just responding and such. I've watched a lot of Morph's videos, watched a lot of your videos.
Mhm.
I've been in Star Citizen for now like 2 years. And one thing like I notice is it's just it's a stream. I think Morph just had a weak moment and he got emotional, and that happens to literally everyone. So like
The
I
issue
personally
that I think though, God, yeah, I knew it would kind of get here and would be about him when it's
Mhm,
not about him. He kept going on Twitter after, and he continued on and
mhm,
wasn't necessarily respectful to the people that were um responding to him, because it was a frustrating moment, because I feel like I knew what was going on here. Was he was simply saying that it definitely needed a tweak, a balance, something, but he was pissed off at the time and was still pissed off after, and was sort of defending it in a way that was pissing
yeah.
everyone else off even more, and it was just a very unmorph like moment. Morph is usually very like takes his time, thinks through something. His videos are obviously scripted, right?
Mhm.
And the thought process is there. And this was more emotional, which again, he's human. We all are. And um, yeah, I have weak moments 5 times a day. He had one once in his life, and it's the end of the
Yeah.
world.
Yeah,
I
and
just don't think it's
I
that big
think
of a deal.
a lot of people are kind of taking that as an attack. And I think like there are people who are attacking him right now via YouTube and Spectrum and things like that. And at some point, it's just got to end, because what it is doing is it's creating division in the community, and that's just that we don't need that. If there's anything that's happening right now within the community, is that we're having more division than we have had in a long time. Uh, you know, I haven't been around since like I've been around since 2018, and I've just kind of like been on the low end of it all. But as of recent, like things have just really gotten crazy with PES and things to do with combat, ground combat, et cetera, and everyone seems to want to have an opinion of it, and I think that's okay. It's just when you find a solution, I think what's important is how you communicate that solution, and that you try not to be toxic and like basically shit on somebody. And on there's issues on Morph's side of the fence as well as others, and we just have to kind of come back together and say, okay, like we're all in this in Star Citizen, whether you're a non-combatter or you're a PvPer, right? You can't tell. For example, I watched this video. His name's Marcus Wayne, I believe, and he posted a video and basically said that, "Hey, Morph, maybe you should just stick to your architect reviews." And that's basically telling him to fuck off. Sorry, excuse my language.
Fuck.
And
you could say it. It's fine.
okay, great. Yeah, and to me, it's like that doesn't help. Like Morph isn't gonna go play with you now. If anything, he's gonna stop playing Star Citizen, not only because the game is pissing him off, but because the community itself is shitting on him, and like that doesn't help us. So if anything, we just need to realize that he needs a break, and that's what it looks like to me. He just
Yeah,
needs
but
a
see,
break.
if I
Go ahead.
heard that from you, I'd be like, "Go fuck yourself. Don't tell me what I need. You don't know me. Like, you know what I mean?" So it just comes down to like, dude, he was just playing the game. The game's frustrating. He had like,
Yeah,
that's it.
That's a better way
And-
of putting it.
And then
yeah.
and then specifically, this specific scenario is frustrating. You know, where you put a bunch of work together and then one A2 bomb fucks everything up, right? Like,
Yeah.
we played this morning. We had the exact same scenario happen to us. We were not paying attention. A2 comes in, he drops a bomb, I shoot it, and then he dive bombs and drops a bomb 5 meters from the ground and blows everything up on the ground. Little did he know none of those things were ours, and we wanted them to get cleaned up anyway, so thank you. Our 890 jump survived because we kept it the right distance away from the bomb, right? Where the likely bomb would go. It is what it is, but like that is the tactic. Like that shouldn't be the tactic for that specific ship. But again, to go back to like the point that I'm trying to make here is this could be applied to literally anything. And I think that the overall thing is you have a few people I believe trying to piggyback a little bit off of Morph's fame. Trust me, the first time I had Morph on the podcast, it was my most popular podcast. Anytime I react to a morphologist video, it gets more views because his name is part of the YouTube algorithm, right? It's just how it works. And I think that that's what some people are trying to do a little bit is it's a much bigger opportunity for a video or something like that with him than it would be for a me or I don't know, if like a Captain, even if a Captain Richard who doesn't have a very big or at all YouTube presence, you wouldn't make a video if the same type of guy, you know, a more positive guy would have had similar statements. I think it might have caused some unrest in the community, but not this way. And again, I do think Morph didn't necessarily handle himself correctly, so he gave them ammunition, and that was it. And what I do think happened out of it, though, is you had the entire community in a large group. I do believe they came together and discussed a specific subject somewhat civilly for the first time ever. Like you said, there was divisiveness. I saw divisiveness towards him, but
Where'd
overall,
you see this? Just out of curiosity, if you don't
my
mind.
Discord and Spectrum, like people were just sharing their opinions about the A2, and I think most people just shared their opinion, sort of discussed it between each other, and it actually ended up being somewhat healthy. It's just the way that they treated the person, and I guess I have more of a soft spot for these situations because I know what it feels like to read YouTube comments. I know what it feels like when people, you know, come down on you, and it doesn't feel good. It's frustrating, and it sucks. So.
Well, I'm glad that like there were some like areas where people were kind of come together and like realizing like, okay, whatever, it's over. And like ultimately it kind of is like it's kind of over. I think a lot of people are making it a bigger deal. Like what you pointed out, people are they're kind of riding the coattails of his, you know, notoriety or fame of YouTube, right?
Maybe. I mean, it's an opportunity if they are, but I don't know necessarily if that's the case. It feels that
I don't
way.
know. Something was coming up on my YouTube with people's videos, and I was just like, this feels a little, but more or less like to get onto PES if you don't mind, like I don't know.
Please.
So that was interesting to me. Back in May when we got the letter from the chairman and they talk about the persistent entity streaming, it certainly sounded significantly further ahead than what it was. And when I watched your video on how you kind of took apart the directing lead on PES, and then having your personal interaction with him. I forget exactly the event that you mentioned, but essentially,
I don't even know what you're talking about.
Oh, well, there's that. You did a react video of PES, which was of the directing lead who was in charge of PES, and you're basically commenting, telling at least what I remember, essentially that he was using broad terms and not really telling us what we needed to know, but just kind of skipping around the question. Does that make sense?
Sure.
Yeah. So
They always speak in broad terms at CIG.
yeah. hmm Exactly. And so I don't think we're gonna see it until December, if not the first quarter of 23. I think it's gonna get evocati'd, if anything, in October or November. That's just my opinion of it.
I mean, you could
Now,
make up the dates and you have as
yeah,
as
yeah,
much.
for sure.
It doesn't matter when it comes. It just matters that they communicate where they're at, how it's going, things like that. I don't need a Jared coming on, car salesman Jared, about PES. I just need
Yeah.
a good Spectrum post and let me know what's up. That's just how I feel. But
Yeah.
everything has to
100%
be a
agree.
production at CIG, and it makes it seem like it's smoke and mirror kind of situation. But it was the same thing in with 2.6 in 2016, 2017. And then, I mean, did eventually get 3.0.
Yeah, yeah. I came on right at 3.0.
Yeah.
And so I was, bright-eyed, bushy-tail, just like, oh, this is so great. And then shortly thereafter, you just start picking up the history and you start seeing the patterns. And pretty soon you're like, okay, like there are some things that are well guarded within CIG and other things that they use to distract you from that well guarded position, i.e., ship sales, I forget what it's called, but the big event, they just had it and it's totally leaving my head. Those
Ship
kind of
Showdown?
events, yes, thank you. Like
Okay.
those kind of things distract from, the bigger picture. And this is one of those events essentially, is where we have a lot of distractions to keep us away and to tell us like, oh well, things are okay, but are they? Because everything we've heard about PES is very smoke and mirrors, and Jared's always in our face just telling us everything's fine, and then meanwhile there's a fire behind him. like
Maybe. I mean,
like
I think
alright.
that this communication was really good. Like, I don't want to take away from the actual video. Everything that Benoit said seemed reasonable, seemed good. It's in game dev. That's a very big deal, and now it's just stabilizing it so we could play it. All the devs that work at the company are working on their parts of that, and that's what was communicated to me. That is a massively huge step. That means a lot. And that is a
I
very
remember
big
that.
thing. That is the thing. It being in game dev means it's good. Like they achieved a major feat, and now it's about stabilizing it and getting it into our hands. That is
Yeah.
way farther than anything has ever been. I don't believe iCache was ever in game dev, right? So that's
Yeah, they conceptually proved it, and then they were confident enough to pass it off to the developers, and now the developers are playing around with it. I'm sure it's a lot of troubleshooting, like was said in the video. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it will come. I have no doubt that it will come. I hate the fact that they created this impression that it was going to come so soon.
that it was simple.
Yeah, that it was simple. Yeah.
They
It's like,
created
don't
the
do
impression that 37, because the timeline of a 317.2, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
And it's not till now.
Yeah, exactly. And
So,
so it's just like, stop doing that.
yeah, and they communicated that there would be edge cases. I see that in chat. They communicated that it would be a problem, but they communicated that those problems would exist when it got into our hands, and it would stay in our hands in a PTU for a very long time. It was not communicated that it would be not in a PTU, because now what we have is when it does get to our hands, now we wait for 3 to 6 months in a PTU for it. Right. And when it didn't come, you just had to say something, just anything. You didn't have to say much. You just had to say something. That was it.
Yeah. Just tell us,
But
give us
just
progress.
like 1 minute, because that's about all I got left, Clay. I'm sorry.
No problem. Yeah, no. Enjoy yourself. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it, Mike.
No problem. I mean, you could still respond to that. Just try to keep it around a minute or so.
Sure. Did you want me to respond to it now?
Well, you were responding, and I cut you off.
Sorry, I thought you were cutting me off. Yeah. So I think ultimately, like, communication is obviously important, and they have to not put the cart before the horse, and try to create too much hype.
I think
And
the
that's what
biggest
happens
thing,
ultimately.
you have the guy who actually works on it unwilling to give a date, and you have
That says
Xylo willing
something,
to
yeah.
give a date. It's ridiculous. You should never
Yeah,
do that.
yeah, I thought that was hilarious. Like Xylo's
It's-
giving a date, but the guy who's actually in lead, who understands that stuff, is like silent. It's like,
What's
that's
going like?
interesting.
No matter what, that just tells you there's something wrong. What is it? Something has to change.
Mhm.
And at the same time, I see this in Twitch chat. Why the fuck did Jared even ask?
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
It just seems like did he ask just for him to say that I'm not willing to give a date? Maybe that makes sense then for him to ask when he knows he's not going to give one. But at the same time, it just maybe he thought
Yeah.
that the community would get mad if he didn't.
Yeah, it may have been that. I think it was. When you think more on it, I think it was questions that he knew he had to ask to satisfy the community, like with specific expectations.
Yeah.
Like that makes sense to me. I know a lot of people feel it's like very prompted, and it probably is. To be honest, they're a big company. They don't want to make a big oof, even though they do all the time. But
Yeah.
you have to think for every one oof, they've probably prevented at least 10. So yeah, I definitely agree that, yeah, it's definitely prompted. So I'm sure he took some time, and I appreciate that, to be honest, for prompting, because what that does is it prevents unneeded doubt, as well as answers precise questions. It can sometimes lead to, if the developers are lying to you and trying to create false representations, outright lies. But ultimately, like, I think it's in good faith.
I think
They
they've
want to
always
provide
been
that.
in good faith. It just comes down to some at some level in some place. It's just incompetence. That's all it is. Whether
Yeah.
it's communication incompetence or whatever. I would never sit here as a poker dealer say that a game dev is incompetent. What the hell do I know about their job? But
Yeah, same.
all you could do is look at 10 years, same fucking story every year with bullshit communication, getting completely silent when things go wrong. They go in their little hole and say nothing except for, every time a ship sails around, they're,
Yep.
they're wide open, sharing ships and all those things. It's, all that is fine. You could do your contests, you could do your ship sales. Nobody is telling you not to. Well, I guess some people are, but in
Some
the end,
people
for
are, yeah,
me,
some people.
it's the other side of it is you got to give with the good, you got to give a little, you got to communicate the bad as well, and just be open, actually be open development.
Yeah,
and just
don't be
communicate.
afraid of disappointment necessarily, because usually the community will look at that and say, okay, well, we know this now, and our expectations will now shift. And it doesn't necessarily mean they're not interested in the game. I mean, I can't tell you
Yeah.
how many people I've talked to who know about this game, but then just they're waiting. They're just
Yeah.
constantly just
I mean, you
waiting.
hit the point. They do not set proper expectations, and in a situation where letter for the chairman comes out, and I thought that they did a good job of setting proper expectations, they still didn't get it right.
Hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
But anyway, let's call it. Clay, thank
Yeah,
you for your
thanks.
call, man. I appreciate it. And yeah, hopefully it gets better. But at this point, I am officially a non-believer in that, at least when it comes to communication.
Heard. All right.
Yeah, man.
Thanks, man.
Talk to you soon.
See ya.
Bye-bye now. All right, guys, that'll do it for today's Answer the Call. I hope you guys enjoyed it. It was definitely a little bit of a different format. It was kind of cool. We went, talked about one thing, went to a different subject after. So a couple podcast topics today, a couple callers, pretty good. But yeah, like I've gotten to the point where I just don't care. And like that Reddit wheel, or like the circle, like you are here. Like, where are we even? This is a new territory, I feel like, at this point. I just believe that when you're this close to something like 318, they got to focus on that. But I do believe that they've kind of stuck to their word with the letter of the chairman for the most part, with the idea of making sure that what we play is interesting, dynamic events. They're trying, they just don't have a lot to go with. The game is not good. It definitely wasn't as stable as they were going for with 317. The whole cycle was a problem, where 316 had its issues. 3.15 was fairly stable, I guess, and the game hasn't necessarily improved as time has gone on. So what can we do but continue to wait? Personally, I've just become indifferent, looking at other games, enjoying that stuff. And yeah, I used to care, and I'm just losing it. And when you eventually just like beat us down into submission with just non-communication, and then the next ship sale comes, it's just like, what are we doing here, man? That's what it feels like. But we'll talk to you guys. Thanks for watching, everybody. And yeah, we can review on Monday. As always, we have a Discord here, and I'm trying to promote that as much as possible, because on all the YouTube videos, the YouTube comments are hard to have a back and forth and a conversation with. So please stop by our Discord, discord.gg/SaltEMike. Check that out. And yeah, I'll see you guys all on Weekend Review on Monday, and my next stream will be on Tuesday. So we'll catch you guys then. Bye, everybody.